What's up, everybody? This is Kep. I am here to do an updated version of my What's in My Bag. Tyler Wells tagged my December version, and it's clearly been several months since December, so I figured I would give you guys an update. The bag that I'm currently carrying is the Magellan. This bag's a decent bag. Definitely the best bang for the buck. I don't know if I actually traveled a lot and played a lot of tournaments. I'd probably invest in a little bit higher quality product just because of the modifications that I had to do to it to really make it stand up to what I wanted. But I'll go ahead and this is the bag that I'm using. I've got my pouch on the side. I really don't carry a whole heck of a lot of stuff on the outside here. I've just got my local clubs bag tags, and that's pretty much about it. Now let's talk about the discs. We will start with our drivers. First driver is a 158 medium Solus. This disc I use if I've got really heavy headwinds, or if I want something that absolutely positively has to finish really hard left on a backhand. I'm not very good at sidearm, so I don't really even throw that a lot, but when I do, chances are this is going to be the disc I'm going to try to flick with. But this is my 158 medium Solus. Next is my 165 420. I got this when they first came out, and originally thought it would be a good disc for my wife at 165. This was before I knew much about anything regarding proper disc weights and proper arm speed and things along those lines. So I was throwing all max weight, and so I have my wife throwing just slightly under me. But I feel like this is a perfect weight for me now. It's a 165 medium. It's broken pretty good, and this thing goes pretty straight for me and gets just a nice gradual fade left. Always finishes left, but it's not a real meat hook type of disc anymore. Next is my brand new Olace 164 firm. I do prefer the firm rubber after several years of throwing now with Vibram. I've kind of gravitated towards the firms. This thing was absolutely beautiful right out of my player's pack. I don't know if it was Shunley or who it was that packaged my package, but I appreciate you throwing this one in for me. It's a 164 medium. It's brand new. I've literally thrown 8 or 9 holes with it. Not very much use, but it's going to be an awesome disc. My primary driver that I throw most is my 166 firm Olace. This is the when they first came out, and I picked this one up on Heiser Farm on eBay, and it's been in my bag ever since. I love it. It's a pretty straight disc for me. I can get it to turn over and do a nice S-curve. It's cool. This is probably my primary driver when it comes to no wind, want something that goes right, or I need something really low, so I can't get any height to really try to get my distance. I'll throw this disc. This is an Olace, but it's the Vibram Open Stamp Olace, which is technically the first run Olace. But what's cool about this disc is it's very understable. I know it's probably hard to tell in the video, but it's got a little bit of a puddle top. This one's pretty broken. I got this from Michael Sparrow. Thank you, Michael. Still throw it, dude. And but the thing I like about this, it's got the same basic Olace depth. The rim height is a little bit lower. But this thing, you release on a nice hyzer, like, I mean, really hard hyzer like this, and that thing will flip up flat, turn a little bit right, and just gradually come back left. If you throw it on a flat release, this thing is turning and burning, just like an unlace, first run unlace would. I can get this thing to flip and hit and roll pretty quick. I'm just now starting to learn rollers, and this bad boy I can get down within 100 feet if I need to, off of a flat release. My next is my Proto Notch. Honestly, guys, I don't really throw this a whole lot. It does have a lot of use on it. I've let a lot of people borrow it, but this disc is a little heavy for me. It's a little stable for me as well. I like it for those in between a gator and kind of a firebird if you're an of a thrower. I'm not real familiar with the other brands, but really a super overstable fairway driver, but to me it's just a little bit longer than a mid-range. I don't really feel like I'm getting extra distance out of this disc. Next is the Arch, my Proto Arch. This one is awesome as far as the glide. It's just too heavy for me, so I'm throwing it now, just doing my duty towards the tester market and making sure that I beat the hell out of this disc as much as I can. So I am throwing this. It's a fun disc. It's just too heavy for me to throw and feel like I'm getting what I should out of the disc. So it's very important as you go through your discs to make sure that you're not trying to throw weights that are too heavy. It's better to throw a lighter weight and take a little off, in my opinion. That's what I found over the years anyway. To me, it seems to work better than try to put everything in it to get the disc to do what you want it to do. So that's my Arch. I do throw that a lot though. It's a really straight flyer for me, but it does always finish left as of right now. This is the oldest disc in my bag right now, as far as the way I've had it. This is a small number Ascent 168 firm, and this thing is super firm. I mean, I can get a baby flex out of the top, but the edges here are rock hard. The thing I love about this disc is very much like my Vibram Open O-Lace. This one I can release on a hard hyzer, have it flip up, do just a little bit for me, and then come back. But if I throw this thing on a flat release, whew, it's a whoosh, and it'll just keep on going. What's dangerous about this disc tends to hit and kick back, or hit and roll. So it's, for me, the biggest challenge that I've had with this disc is getting it to land flat. I feel like if it turns and stays on that angle. It doesn't turn and flatten out. This particular disc, not the Ascent in general, just this particular disc. It's really beat in. So this is really a versatile disc for me. Tight squeezes, super narrow holes, and anything that I feel like I don't necessarily need a distance driver, but I need a little bit more than a mid. Chances are this is the disc I'm grabbing. The next is kind of the second disc in line behind that one for my fairways, and that's my track. It's a 162 or 172 track. This one has been beat up quite a bit. I use this a lot. What's cool about this disc is it's kind of like my Ascent in that I can carve different lines with it. I can get it to come over, I can get it to flip it on a hyzer, get it to come flat. The difference is, if I flip this on a hyzer, it'll come flat and go to the right and just keep on going. Whereas the Ascent, if I can get it on the hyzer, flip it up, it'll go to the right and then just gradually come back. It won't even finish straight ahead. It'll finish to the right still, but it'll go right and come back. Whereas this one will go right and keep going right. I can, if I throw it easier and don't put everything in it, I can get it to flip up and kind of hold that hyzer line. I know Nathan Hayden has made mentions of being able to carve all kinds of lines with the track. I'm not quite to that level yet, but I am getting better with it. The next one is a new disc in my bag. This is a 159 medium track. Sorry, Wade, I'm throwing it right now. It's actually more stable than my 172, and I'm thinking it's just because it's new. Um, the numbers are different. This one does have a 50 speed. This one doesn't have any speed, so um, I'm not I'm not sure if there's a difference in the mold or if it's just because it's new. But this disc is actually pretty stable for as light as it is, and I'm using this for those shots where I need a little bit more distance, but I need to maintain control, and I don't have that sweeping wide room to work with a distance driver. Next one is my Cowbex. This disc is awesome. This is my primary mid-range right now. This is really what I grabbed first. I'm trying to push myself towards the Ibex so I have a little bit more maneuverability, kind of like the track does. But this thing is awesome. I've had the most ace runs with this disc. I still don't have an ace, but I've had the closest runs with this disc. It always has good comments. It's super, super hard, super firm. I can get this thing to turn over and it's always going to come back. If I throw it flat, it's finishing hard left, and if I throw it on a hyzer, this thing can really do some fun stuff. Super awesome disc. It's a 177 firm. It's a little heavy for me now compared to what I'm starting to throw, but for what I use it for, which is, you know, pretty much any mid-range throw that I have to have finish left, or yeah, finish left is it's definitely going to do that for me. Could probably get a little bit more distance out of a lighter weight one. This is my blacked out Obex. Exact same run as this one. I just dyed it black. This one's a little bit heavier. This one's a 180. And really I just use this as a backup, and I have it in my bag. And I've also been using this disc for good warm-up sessions. So I'll go out and I'll throw my mid-rangers on the range until the round starts. Next is a brand new first run Ibex. This is a 170, and I'm really only thrown it a couple of times, and I'm really looking forward to breaking this thing in, and really, as you can tell, I haven't even inked it yet, but have just thrown it a couple of rounds, but really am starting to like the Ibex a lot. This is my baby when it comes to the Ibex. It's a 174 firm. This is the second run firm, so it's super, super hard. And this disc has really turned into a workhorse for me. I'm getting a lot better with releasing on a hyzer flip and having it come straight up and just stay straight. On a flat release, it'll come right, and just a little bit of fade at the end, not much at all. And of course I can get to flip over if I want to. But really, really liking this disc. I would say realistically, if I could find a little bit more stable Ibex, like the Vibram Open Fusion Ibex, I have one of those, and I might put that back in my bag and take the Obex out. So that's how much I'm starting to like the Ibex. Next is my putters. Let me go to my backups. Well, I'll just go by mold actually. This is a 176 VP. I haven't even thrown it yet. It is a first run, and it is used, but I personally haven't thrown it yet, and it's my backup. So it's in there. This is my primary VP. It is a first run VP, and I beat the hell out of this disc. I throw this on pretty much any of my putter drives, anything really in that 250 or less range. I'll try to get this up there and try to throw my VP. And I'm really, really liking this thing for tomahawks. I know that sounds weird, but I will release it, get it released on about this angle, and that thing will just gradually flip like this and start to turn. And it'll land flat. So we have this one hole, it's a hard dog leg right. I'll throw it overhand, and that thing will go and turn that right hand turn and land flat on its lid. Love this disc. That's why I have a full-time backup, just in case I lose this disc. And I'm going to start beating in the backup a little bit too. I've got a little bit of a puddle top on this thing now, and it's got just a little bit of flex, but really like the first run VP. The orange run seems to be more comfortable to me. For whatever reason, I just like the way that one feels. Next is my ridges. Oh, for VPs, one more VP. My soft VP, my taco. I don't even throw this all that much unless I have something that I am on a really tricky hill, or I want to really get it to come over. Like, I'll force it over and have it flatten out, and I really want it to stick hard. I will throw the soft VP. I used to carry all the softs, the drivers and the mid-ranges, then everything in soft. I just didn't feel like I was getting consistent enough with them, so I only use that for utility type throws. Next is my ridges. These are my workhorse discs as far as approaches, as far as a lot of drives, to where, like, the VP I'll throw if I've got a little bit more room and I can get it to finish that, get that left hand finish, and I can swing it out a little bit wide. So I'll do kind of the wide right approach and kind of have that VP kind of settle in from that right side. Whereas the ridge, I can pretty much throw this straight at it. And I'll get a nice little S-curve with it. This is my primary one. This is the Proto Ridge, so it has no flight numbers. It's translucent, so you can look through it with light behind it. It's got a really gummy grip. It's a smooth grip, but it's really gummy. I really feel confident in digging my thumb into the flight plate and really kind of like forcing that thing into my fingers and really gripping it hard on my drives. I really like this disc. This one I originally bought for the looks, but then as soon as I got it home and I felt it, I was like, oh my god, this feels exactly like my green one. And it's not the exact same, but it's pretty darn close. And so this one has turned into a really fun disc to throw, not only because I like the feel, but it looks awesome in the air. When it's spinning and it's got these colors flipping around, it looks sweet. So those are my ridges. Next are my, oh, one more ridge, I'm sorry. This one was tucked around the corner. I was wondering where it disappeared to. This is another Proto Ridge. This one's super firm. This one came from Mr. Steve Dodge himself. I didn't get it from Steve, but it was his disc. And this one I'm throwing less than I used to. Ever since I got the green Proto Ridge, I started throwing this a little bit less. Don't really know why, in all honesty, other than I just kind of like the way this one feels a little bit better. But this disc, as you can tell by the looks of it, was a workhorse for Steve, and has been a workhorse for me for almost a year now. Next is my Summits. These are my putting putters. I have a whole stack of these, and then I've got one driving Summit. This is my driving Summit. This is a tester Summit. This one came from Aaron Alla, and it was a preform, 6.4 ounces back in 2009. Apparently the Maple Hill test team tested these, and this thing looked brand new when I got it. I'm sorry, Aaron, I'm beating the hell out of it now. This thing is so much fun because I can put it on a hyzer flip and it'll flip up and just stay there and just go straight at the basket. So I'm really using this pretty much for that. When I need to throw a drive to where I need to go right, or I have a hyzer flip type situation where I want to throw it, have it flip up and stay on that line, maybe go a little bit right. This is the disc I'm throwing right now. Then I have my two putting putters. I carry a 174 and I carry a 168. Reason for that is because I'll use my 174 up close or in windy conditions, and if I'm a little bit further away, I will use the 168. The reason why I like these is really a matter of preference on how I'm feeling that day. I've got a mix of firm discs, medium discs, and soft discs, as you saw. But for my putters, sometimes I'm really feeling like I want to dig in my thumb into this flight plate. And what's cool about these fusion discs is the medium side allows you to do that, but the firm side doesn't. You can't really dig in at all. So if I've got a situation, I'm kind of a in between a spin putter and a push putter, and if I have that kind of enough space to where I can kind of flip it up, kind of flick it for, kind of just punch at it, I'll use the medium side. But if I'm in a situation where I have to do more of a push putt, I'll use the firm side. And that's the same thing for the 168. You might be thinking, well, why would you use two different types of putts? It's really just a matter of where your disc lands. If I'm stepping out from behind a tree, I'm doing a push putt most of the time. If I'm in a situation to where the wind is really, really bad, I will usually do a push putt as well. So it just all depends. But I do have a 164 and a 168, and then I've got a stack of them in between 170 and 176 that I practice with. So that's what I have as far as discs in my bag. As far as everything else, there's a couple extracurriculars in these pockets, but nothing really too fancy. I've got a couple of Vibram trinkets on here, and that's pretty much about it. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.